What's up, people? It is Mental Health Monday Tuesday with a spiritual twist. Brought to you by your girl, Demetra Williams Pitts. And this week's episode is a continuation of Fear, Lies, and Conflict Avoidance, Part 2, with the focus being lies. Let's get this party started. Alrighty, let's do a little review. Last week we talked about fear, which is a basic, intense emotion aroused by the detection of imminent threat involving an immediate alarm reaction that mobilizes the organism by triggering a set of physiological changes. The origins of fear may be influenced by genes, can be learned through direct experience with a threat or by conditioning. Physical and behavior responses to fear. It weakens the immune system, can cause cardiovascular damage, gastrointestinal problems such as ulcers and irritable bowel syndrome, and decreased fertility. Can impair formation of long-term memories and cause damage to certain parts of the brain. That can interrupt processes. Other consequences of long-term fear include fatigue, clinical depression, and even PTSD. Last week, we additionally learned that the Bible says, "For God hath not or has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a strong mind." We also learned that fear not is in the Bible 365 times. Did you know? When people experience overwhelming anxiety or fear about letting themselves or someone else down, one way of escape is to flee the perceived threatening or stressful situation, is to lie, escape, or avoid. Once the stress response system is activated, it's difficult for rational decision making to take place. That's rational decision making to take place. Now let's jump into our topic for the week, which is lies. But it also includes deceit and misleading. Lying is an act of telling something known to be false. Deceiving is using some sort of plot for personal advantage. And misleading is causing someone to have a wrong idea or impression of something. Here are a couple examples. Lying and deception is when you tell someone you are 30 when you're really 40. The lie is that you know the statement is false. The deceit is in your excuse for telling the lie. Misleading is you told someone you were 30 when you know you were 40, and you intentionally dressed or spoke like a 30-year-old, along with having a fake ID that says you're 30 to give the wrong impression. A half truth is a whole lie. Okay, last week we used the same diagram as it relates to fear. But fear is the foundation of some people lying. Not everyone, but some people lie due to fear. And so in the beginning of this process, we start with the perceived threat because there are cases that the threat is not really a threat. It's something that's in your mind. However, if you perceive this as being a threat, or if this person as being a threat, or the situation as being a threat, you have to ask yourself, is the threat serious? Am I likely to experience the threat? But as it relates to a lie, you ask yourself, why is this encounter perceived as a threat? You need to think about why you think this is a threat. Is this in my genes? Is it learned or experienced behavior? Or is it based on conditioning or a combination of all both? If it is, you move into the area of fear where the red triangle is that says fear. From there, you proceed on to the fear appeal, which is the scary health messages that comes in the physiological state, meaning you get sweaty palms, a fast heartbeat, anxiety, you get emotionally annoyed. Some people, they get angered, etc. You move from there into the perceived efficacy. Perceived meaning that you actually have an option, but you need to stop to see what that perceived efficacy or solution is. At this point, you need to ask yourself, will the recommended behavior effectively prevent the threat? Meaning, will whatever it is that you decide to choose regarding this lie or regarding your situation, will it prevent the person or the thing from manifesting? Am I able to perform it? In this particular case, we're talking about the lie. So the question is, what is the recommended solution? Is the solution to tell the truth, or is the solution to tell a lie? In either case, there could be some kind of controversy. But what would you choose as the better solution? If you choose to do nothing, you just sit there in fear control, meaning you're just sitting there experiencing fast heartbeat, anxiety, being emotionally annoyed, and even being angered. However, if you choose to tell a lie, you go into the danger zone. And the danger zone is basically saying that I'm going to tell this lie. I'm accepting and executing the health recommendation, which is to lie because you believe that this behavior you can perform and it's going to work out in your favor. Unfortunately, if you choose that, there's this maybe zone, because that's going to be temporary. Why do I say that? Because lies have a way of revealing themselves. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but eventually they will come out. Therefore, all you've done is delayed the inevitable. As when it comes to lying, the number one excuse for lying is fear. The most common reason for lying in both children and adults is to self-protect. This is not necessarily a protection from physical harm. It could be protection from your image being tarnished. It could be protection from somebody finding out something that you lied about. It could be protection from your image. Protection for whatever reason, you're trying to preserve yourself. The driving emotion, of course, is fear that there might be a real consequence or a perceived one that a person is trying to defend themselves against. We need to learn how to count the costs instead of fearing. I'm sure you were wondering where are the stats. Well, here they are. So who lies? 12% of adults admit to telling lies sometimes or often. 12%. 31% of people admit to lying on their resumes. 13% of patients lie to their doctor. 30% of patients have lied about their diet and exercise regimens. 60% of people lie at least once during a 10-minute conversation. On average, men lie 6 times a day to their partner, boss, or colleagues. Let me read that again. Men, on average, lie 6 times a day to their partner, boss, or colleagues. Whereas women, on average, lie 3 times a day to their partner, boss, or colleagues. Lying is more common on phone calls than face to face, which makes sense because face to face, you can see the various different physiological changes that a person may go through when they're lying. But this one here is most interesting. 1 in 7 lies was discovered, or as far as liars could tell. And that's because everyone that may be caught in a lie is not always informed that they were caught in a lie. There are some people who go through what we're going to talk about next week, which is conflict avoidance. Rather than telling someone they know that you've lied, they just walk away from the situation because they don't want to deal with the conflict. The last one, more than 70% of liars will tell their lies again. I know that one to be true because I've heard some repeat lies. The things men and women lie about tend to serve their self-interest. We're back to that again. Or are told to avoid hurting their partner's feelings. Men have admitted to lying about their whereabouts. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm on my way. A partner's appearance. No, your butt doesn't look big in that. The gifts they've received. It's just what I've always wanted. Women also lie about gifts they receive, but also about feeling ill. I have a headache. And about finances. It wasn't that expensive. It seems that when a man or woman thinks that the truth will make their partner angry, they lie about what they find to be harmless. That source comes from elearning.com. Social media lies. Consequently, when engaging with social media, it is critical to remind yourself that what you see is not an accurate picture of reality. Don't compare yourself to the images of friends, colleagues, or celebrities. Remind yourself that it is just a snapshot of their life and one that they want you to see. Let me repeat that last part. It's one that they want you to see because there have been many other photos that have been released to public that they didn't want you to see. And that's both from celebrities as well as, us regular folk. Also, be sure to check out more information on regarding social media and how it affects us with my girl, Annette Harris at Mind Mending in the Net, where we discuss the psychology of social media. There are already 2 episodes that have been uploaded. One, I believe, was uploaded on the 1st of September. This last one was uploaded on the 4th of September. So please check us out. And hopefully you'll find out some additional information about what occurs and how it affects our usage of social media. Now, here are some reasons or excuses for lying. Concealing reward or benefit. In serious lies, the falsehood is usually told to conceal the reward or benefit the liar obtained by breaking a rule or explicit expectation. For example, applying and receiving the PPP loan but doesn't have a small business. That was just a lie, but they're concealing the fact that they received the money. Another one, protecting someone from harm. You don't want your friend, fellow coworker, sibling, spouse, or anyone you care about to get punished, even if you don't agree with what the person has done. So you're protecting them and you put yourself in danger as well as them. For example, when a police officer refuses to testify or lies on the witness stand surrounding the facts of a case. That is protecting someone from harm. But at the same token, you can also be in trouble for perjury. Self-projection. Some lies are told to win admiration from others, boasting about something untrue. It is common among children and even adults. The consequences of these lies can range from tainted reputation to being arrested on criminal charges. But for this to be about adults, especially if you're a believer, should not be. As we move along with these reasons or excuses for lying, keep in mind all of these reasons are embedded in fear. The next one, maintaining privacy. Who are you talking to on the phone just now? The child says, "Oh, that was my girlfriend Katie." However, it was a boy who was asking her out on a date. The consequences of this lie may occur if she takes it to the next level, meaning going out with the boy, but not telling her mom, but telling her mom she was with a girlfriend. Now let's take it a step further. She ends up missing or raped during her date with the boy. So now how is that lie to her advantage? The next one, the thrill of it all, just to see if they can get away with it by testing their unsuspected power. Children do it to see if they can. Adults do it to obtain control over others. Avoiding embarrassment. A child may claim the wet seat resulted from spilling water instead of admitting that they wet their pants. Adults do it out of awkward social or personal situations they've gotten themselves into. Being polite. Thanks so much for the lovely party. That color looks really good on you. You really sang that song. All of these are forms of deception that may lead to embarrassment later down the road, especially. Some damages caused by lying. This is the liar. Whether you're aware or not, when you give yourself the out of line, you deny yourself the kinds of collisions with reality that are necessary to improve your life. Lying does not help your life move in a way that is beneficial, although because of the fear, you think that it does. Self-deception. The liar often imagines that he does no harm so long as his lies go undetected. But as previously stated, lies don't stay hidden. They eventually rise to the top like cream. Some liars end up with guilt and other emotional discomforts if they realize the deception they used on others would not be received well if it had been done to them. Some of them do come to that realization, but others do not. Lying, deceiving, and misleading will lead to a lack of trust and a feeling of betrayal by those that have been lied to. Period. Some of the other damages: depression, anxiety, damaged relationships, shattered self-esteem. Even in our current society, we've seen where lying, deceiving, and misleading has led to social unrest, violence, destruction, and even death. The same can occur in personal relationships. Guess what? Lying is a selfish act. For some, it's about making people like or admire them. Here are some mental and physical effects that the liar can experience. When we engage in deceit, our respiratory and heart rates increase. We start to sweat, our mouth goes dry, and our voice can shake. Hence, the polygraph test. And in some cases, we get loud. In brain imaging studies, symptoms of anxiety arise because lying activates the limbic system in the brain, the same area that initiates the fight or flight response that is triggered during other stresses. When people are being honest, this area of the brain shows minimal activity. An honest brain is relaxed, while a dishonest brain is frantic. Constant lying is associated with an array of negative health outcomes, including high blood pressure, increased heart rate, vascular constriction, and elevated stress hormones in the blood. Other studies suggest that long-term effects could be minimal since it appears that we get more comfortable with lying the more we do it. In other words, we develop an unsettling tolerance to being devious. That's pretty scary. Stress reduces your body's number of infection-fighting white blood cells, and over the years could contribute to lower back pain, tension headaches, rapid heartbeat, menstrual problems, and even infertility. Is it really worth it to lie? Be aware that those who lie with you may lie to you as well. In thinking about the previous screen, I'm reminded of something a coworker told me years ago. She said, there's a reason some people, because everything is not absolute, but there's a reason that some people come down with certain diseases. And she said the reason for that was because of the evil that was in their heart. And so with this right here, it says, and it's unfortunate, lies affect our longevity. Research has linked telling lies to an increased risk of cancer, increased risk of obesity, anxiety, depression, addiction, gambling, poor work satisfaction, and poor relationships, says Deidre Lee Fitzgerald, PhD, assistant professor of psychology at Eastern Connecticut State University in Wilmington. Lying affects others. It destroys trust. It hurts and causes emotional distress to the ones we love and say we care about the most. It causes trauma. It blocks real intimacy. It creates arguments. The one deceived may begin to react to the avoidant behavior by feeling confused, anxious, angry, suspicious, abandoned, or needy. Oh, it definitely causes separation. But liars are cowards. Types of lying and personality disorders. Of course, pathological lying is still being studied, but its causes appears to be in a number of conditions. Pathological lying is a symptom of various personality disorders, including antisocial, narcissistic, and histrionic personality disorders. Other conditions, such as borderline personality disorder, may also lead to frequent lies, but the lies themselves are not considered pathological. Finally, some people simply lie pathologically but have no other conditions. Regardless of the reason for a lie, let me say that again. Regardless of the reason for a lie, it's unpleasant to find out that someone has lied to you. If a loved one is frequently lying to you, you can learn to spot their lies. You can also support them if, I'm going to say that again, you can also support them if they decide to get treatment. Psychology. There are various different types of liars, and we're going to go through them from the worst to the lesser. Number one, the pathological liar. This person lies constantly for any reason. This person is considered a sociopath according to DSM-5. It is repeated lying as criterion for diagnosing antisocial personality disorder, formerly known as sociopathy, or psychopathy. The pathological liar isn't necessarily dangerous or cruel, but they'll never be someone you can trust. Next up, the intentional liar. This person enjoys pushing your buttons for the fun of it. It makes them feel powerful and in control. They're similar to the pathological liar, but differ in the fact that they're fully aware of their untruths. The manipulative liar. They lie to get what they want, will say and do whatever it takes to achieve their goal. This is the selfish one. They often use flattery to get a promotion, make a sale, get elected, or even get in your pants. Like the pathological liar, you'll never know where you stand with them. They are not malicious, but they can still cause much harm. They have no place, absolutely no place in your life. Next up, we have the protective liar. Whew. They'll go to any length to protect a secret, be it the murder of their lover's wife or a demotion at work. This type of liar is at times dangerous, but can also be perceived as noble, as it depends on what or who they're protecting. They have no moral objection to lying as long as it serves their purpose. Here's selfishness again. The danger lies in who or what they choose to protect. This type of liar may possess dark secrets that would shake you to your core if revealed. The avoidant liar. They strive to avoid anything they find unpleasant. Instead of being honest, they offer partial truths, or they deflect. The avoidant liar is evading conflict or doesn't want to complete a particular task. They make excuses or dance around the truth. This is the type that will opt out of a family dinner because they can't stand their mother-in-law. So they say they have a migraine. Avoidant liars are frustrating because they often don't say what they mean. You can never be sure if you're getting the truth, half truth, or a made up excuse from an avoidant liar. Next up, the impressive liar. You've probably seen some of these on social media. They don't see themselves as liars. They may not even realize they're being deceitful. They fabricate to gain the approval of others. They stretch the truth to make a story funnier. They fake feeling to seem more self-assured. They lie out of habit, believe their own stories. Impressive liars are harmless, but can be extremely annoying. They pose no harm, but why spend time with someone who feels the need to pretend to be something they're not? Then there's the lazy liar. They streamline the truth because it's less complicated than giving the full narrative. These type of liars are harmless. They just like editing things to a shorter version, which typically causes some important details to be left out, but not always intentionally. The tactful liar. They are considerate and well-meaning. The overly optimistic reassurances when things aren't going well and find themselves saying things like, it wasn't that bad, even when it was. They're pleasant to be around, but you also won't know when there's spinach in your teeth, or your breath is bad, or your solo was horrendous. The tactful liar has the best intentions. They just don't want to hurt your feelings. In the hood, we call that a send-off. In going through all of those various different types of liars, there is a combination liar. Yeah, that's a whole nother story for a whole different day. But right now we're going to move on to the signs of lying and how one should respond. The signs of lying. Number one, contradictory stories. 2, unverifiable details. 3, overly dramatic or long stories. 4, highly emotional responses or silence when caught in a lie. Or anger. And how should you respond? Stay calm. Don't engage with the lies. Suggest medical or mental treatment. I know you were waiting on that spiritual twist. Well, here it is. What does the Bible say? Well, the word for lie in the Greek is kazab, meaning a lie, falsehood, deceptive thing. The primitive root to lie, deceive, literally or figuratively, fail, be found, make a liar lie, lying, be in vain. Revelations 21:8 says, I'm going to start from the end and back my way up. NLT version of this says, but cowards, unbelievers, the corrupt, murderers, the immoral, those who practice witchcraft, idol worshippers, and all liars, their fate is in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death, because you've already experienced the first death. 1 John 2:4 says, if someone claims, I know God, but doesn't obey God's commandments, that person is a liar and is not living in the truth. 1 John 1:9-10 says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. If we say we have not sinned, we make him out to be a liar and his word is not in us. As it relates to lying, which we know to be an evil deed, how can we say we love the Lord and our neighbor if we continue in the ways of the devil? This is something believers need to ask themselves. Otherwise, understand there's a chance your eternal soul could end up in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. That doesn't sound fun. Lying and love don't mix. One is of God, the other is of your father, the devil, as it states in John the 8th chapter when Jesus is talking to the people who claim they believe, basically the Jews. Jesus said to the people who believe in him, you are truly my disciple if you remain faithful to my teachings. You are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. But we are descendants of Abraham, they said. These are the Jews now. We have never been slaves to anyone. What do you mean? You will be set free. Jesus replied, I tell you the truth. Everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Jesus said, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. A slave is not a permanent member of the family, but a son is part of the family forever. So if the son sets you free, you are truly free. Yes, I realize that you are descendants of Abraham, and yet some of you are trying to kill me because there's no room in your hearts for my message. There's no room in your hearts for my message. I am telling you what I saw when I was with my father, but you are following the advice of your father. Oh, watch out now. Our father is Abraham, they declared. No, Jesus replied, for if you were really the children of Abraham, you would follow his example. Instead, you are trying to kill me because I told you the truth, which I heard from God. Abraham never did such a thing. No, you are imitating your real father. They replied, we aren't illegitimate children. God himself is our true father. Jesus told them, if God were your father, you would love me because I have come to you from God. I am not here on my own, but he sent me. Why can't you understand what I am saying? It's because you can't even hear me. It's because you can't even hear me. For you are the children of your father, the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character. For he is a liar and the father of lies. So when I tell you the truth, you just naturally don't believe me. Which of you can truthfully accuse me of sin? And since I am telling you the truth, why don't you believe me? Anyone who belongs to God listens gladly to the words of God. But you don't listen because you don't belong to God. The people retorted, "You Samaritan devil. Didn't we say all along that you were possessed of the devil?" "No," Jesus said, "I have no devil in me, for I honor my Father and you dishonor me. And though I have no wish to glorify myself, God is going to glorify me. He is the true judge. I tell you the truth. Anyone who obeys my teaching will never die." The people said, "Now we know you are possessed with a demon. Even Abraham and the prophets died, but you say anyone who obeys my teaching will never die. Are you greater than our father Abraham? He died, and so did the prophets. Who do you think you are?" Jesus answered, "If I want glory for myself, it doesn't count. But it is my Father who will glorify me. You said he is our God, but you don't even know him. I know him. If I said otherwise, I would be as great a liar as you. But I do know him and obey him. Your father Abraham rejoiced as he looked forward to my coming. He saw it and was glad." The people said, "You aren't even 50 years old. How can you say you have seen Abraham?" Jesus answered, "I tell you the truth. Before Abraham was even born, I am." At that point, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus was hidden from them and left the temple. These people were in the church house. They were in the temple. Yeah, I paused there intentionally. So, Mark 12 says, the 30th verse, the greatest command: "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength." The second is this: "Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these." So again, I ask, if you're going to lie to people, how is that benefiting you? Lying and love, they don't mix, because one is of God and the other is of your father, the devil. In summary, for the most part, psychopathic liars are the most damaging types of liars because they lie on a routine basis without conscience and often without reason. Whereas the pathetic liars lie to get along. The narcissistic liars, they are about the drama, the inaction, the inept. They're sociopath. They lie simply because they feel like it. Then you have the pathological liar. A liar lies to get their way and does so with little awareness. The compulsive liar is a liar who lies out of habit. The quote here says, "Recovery requires calling a truce in the war between our idealized selves and our shadow selves." Well, the way I would put that in a spiritual context would be recovery from our flesh to our spirit. Rather than living in the flesh, we need to live in the spirit of ourselves. But whatever the case, no matter what type of liar you are, you need help. Now, in the world that we live in, Which is why the Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. There is something in society that's called the white lie. It's a lie about a small or unimportant matter that someone tells to avoid hurting another person. An example would be telling your mother that her meatloaf is delicious when you really hate the meatloaf. Telling your friend that she doesn't look fat in her dress when she asks because you don't want to tell her that she's gained a lot of weight and she looks heavy. Although white lies are acceptable in society or in the world, are they really beneficial? In the example concerning your mother's meatloaf, what are the potential consequences? What if you had some friends over and they get hungry and your mother offers them that meatloaf you lied about? How do you think that's going to turn out? In another example, you tell your friend she doesn't look fat in the dress. She goes out on it. She goes out to an event or a date, and she overhears some other people talking about how the dress is too tight, it's unattractive for her size, shape, etc. What do you think that'll do to your friend's self-image, her confidence, and her trust in you? So just because society says it's okay doesn't mean it doesn't have a potential to hurt, damage trust, and lead to relational issues. What are you willing to risk for this lie? Every lie you tell has a potential consequence. If you're a believer, the Bible doesn't differentiate between a white, red, or blue lie. They're all the same because they all can potentially cause a breach in relationship. And God is all about relationship. Whether you're a believer or not, don't let this world send you down a dark path out of fear. Tell the truth at all costs. It's more beneficial for you to tell the truth than it ever is for you to tell a lie. Here are some helpful tips toward healing. Admit that you have a problem with lying. Recognize the need to align with a higher power than the personality part that you're currently aligned with. Align yourself with God. Be accountable to someone. Consider the consequences. And as I always say, count the cost because there's always a cost. Journal. Set positive, life enhancing goals that'll keep you on a path of integrity and operating in good character. And if all else fails, if all else fails, seek professional help. This concludes our episode of Mental Health Mon Tuesday with a spiritual twist. In our final installment on fear, lies, and conflict avoidance, we'll discuss the effects of conflict avoidance as it relates to fear and lies and how they actually connect. It is our hope that you are enjoying Mental Health Mon Tuesday and hope to see you next week. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment so that we can interact. I'd love to interact with you. This is your mental, physical, and spiritual advocate signing out saying, stop the lies. Your mental health affects your physical health. Let's make it a priority to have a happy, healthy, functioning mind. I holla.